Finally, we're going to talk about the future of Nintendo Directs in a post-Iwata world. Now, naturally, this podcast has had a ton of news in it. I mean, we've talked about Pikmin 4, we've talked about potential Smash Bros. DLC, we've talked about the Xenoblade Chronicles Special Edition, we've talked about tons of Super Mario Maker stuff, we've talked about Devil's Third, Hyrule Warriors Legends, Triforce Heroes, the new 3DS bundles. There's so much that seems like it would have been announced in a Nintendo Direct. This is definitely a Nintendo Direct level of news in terms of the amount, in terms of the scale, but obviously no Nintendo Direct. So that we're kind of wondering what the future of Nintendo Directs will be in a post-Iwata world. There are a couple interesting things to mention. One is that Liam Robertson of Unseen64, now this was just from a tweet, so don't quote anyone on this, but he said that he was talking to someone who was unsure whether Nintendo Directs will continue in the future. Also, a job listing from Nintendo mentions Nintendo Directs now. Two things to note here is this is basically just their generic copy-pasted job description for that position. So it could mean nothing. It could just mean that they copy-pasted it in, or it could mean everything. It could mean that they are still looking for people to work on Nintendo Directs. I'm not going to draw any specific conclusions from that, but the point is, that is a lot of news that was not in a Nintendo Direct, would have made an amazing Nintendo Direct, and when they were really so strongly associated with Iwata, we're kind of left wondering, what is the future of Nintendo Directs?
Yeah, the strong association with Iwata is the biggest question mark for me, because I feel like so much of the Nintendo Direct spirit came from his trademark style, with his hand gestures and his mannerisms and all that. Those are a big part of the nostalgia.
Yeah, we even saw Sakurai emulate that.
Right. So many of the people who have taken over for him for an episode or two have done the same kinds of things. And I just don't. I know a lot of people have done the host role, but I just don't see the host role, at least not this kind of general Nintendo update show. I don't see that really being able to continue in its current form, unless they change the style a bit, in which case would it even make sense to call it a Nintendo Direct anymore? Plus, we've seen a lot of videos since then that haven't been Nintendo Directs, but have been sort of more, I guess, custom to each game. There's a Super Mario Maker overview video. There was the Xenoblade Chronicles X Survival Guide. And all of those, I feel, were very well done and communicated a lot of the information you normally see in a Nintendo Direct. But they weren't this long show that you kind of have to sit through and get through all this news that you don't care about. It's really just the news that you want to see.
Well, the question then is, how will they promote games like Xenoblade Chronicles if they're just putting out those sole videos for the people who want to see them and not promoting them alongside, more dedicated shows where they show off, for example, Smash Bros. DLC. Everybody's going to be watching those and putting something
I
like
think
Xenoblade...
that's part of the magic of Nintendo Directs is, all the great games that people already know about and are excited about, and you can, put them alongside sort of the hidden gems and things like that. So I'm of the opinion, maybe they change up the format a little, or, change up hosts regularly or something, but I'm of the opinion that they should keep doing Nintendo Directs. They can still do some of those other videos, like Alex was talking about, but I think you still should have a core Nintendo Direct presence, maybe not as frequently as before, but I think it really was a pretty interesting tool to really keep the Nintendo faithful informed on a lot of different topics.
I mean, yeah, they worked so well, and people love them so much. I can't imagine they would completely abandon that format. They do, I think, need to do more. They can't just say, we had a Nintendo Direct, therefore the public knows about what we're doing. Because those are only going to appeal to core Nintendo fans. I think we've talked about this on the show before. But, they did work so well for core Nintendo fans. I can't imagine they would want to abandon that formula. At the very least, I would imagine some sort of farewell direct that has the latest batch of Smash Bros. Content and has a send off, an official Nintendo tribute for Iwata, and has a sort of goodbye message from just the brand of Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, and even if they do continue, maybe this is the opportunity to kind of rely less on them, like you were saying, and rely more on those other channels, especially since there was a world before Nintendo Directs, and so they're not necessarily essential, they're just something we've become attached to.
Right.
What I'm going to miss more than Nintendo Directs are the Iwata Asks interview segments.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, those were fun to read.
Yeah, and they
get a lot of really interesting background on games.
Yeah.
Right. And they weren't necessarily always, he didn't necessarily always ask questions that I necessarily wanted the answers to, but it was good to see a developer talking to another developer and sort of see what their mentality was and how the work environment is at Nintendo and see the sorts of questions that the boss wants to ask.
Yeah.
That was always really interesting. And Iwata's just such a fun, laid-back guy. It's always funny to see his reactions to his employees' attitudes.
He was extremely cool. Hello everybody, thank you for listening to this Nintendo Week clip NWC. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more highlights and discussion videos from Nintendo Week podcast, or subscribe to us on iTunes for weekly breakdowns of all your Nintendo news, discussion segments on subjects, games, and more, and tons of other features. Thanks for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with another NWC.